7 Habits of Highly Successful People, book summary, and lessons. Part 1. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're busy doing the wrong things in the wrong order with the wrong mindset. And the frustrating part is no one really teaches us how to live effectively. We're taught how to pass exams, how to get jobs, how to look successful on the outside, but not how to actually run our lives. That's why I want you to imagine something as we start. Imagine two people with the same education, the same opportunities, and the same amount of time. 10 years later, one feels fulfilled, calm, and confident. The other feels overwhelmed, reactive, and stuck. The difference usually isn't intelligence, it's habits. Quiet, invisible habits that shape how decisions get made every single day. Today, we're going to talk about 7 of those habits, not as rules, not as productivity hacks, but as ways of thinking and living that slowly but powerfully change everything. As you listen, I want you to do something simple. Don't try to remember everything. Just notice which ideas feel like they're talking directly to you. That's usually where the growth is. Let's start with the first habit. One of the biggest illusions in life is the idea that we're powerless, that things just happen to us, that our moods, our reactions, and our outcomes are controlled by other people, by circumstances, or by luck. But highly effective people live from a different place. They live from ownership. They don't deny reality. They just refuse to be victims of it. Think about how most people respond when something goes wrong. Traffic makes them late. A coworker says something rude. Plans fall apart. The default reaction is emotional, anger, frustration, blame. But here's a subtle shift that changes everything. Effective people pause, even if it's just for a second. And in that pause, they ask a different question, not why is this happening to me, but what's the best response right now? That question sounds simple, but it's powerful. Let me tell you a quick story. I once knew two people who worked at the same company, same role, same pay, same boss. One of them complained constantly about management, about the workload, about how unfair everything was. The other one noticed the same problems but responded differently. Instead of complaining, they started learning skills on the side. They asked better questions. They took responsibility for what they could control. A year later, one was still stuck and angry. The other had leverage, confidence, and options. Same environment, different mindset. This habit is about realizing that between what happens to you and how you respond, there is space. And in that space lives your power. You don't control everything, but you always control your next move. And once you truly internalize that, something changes. You stop waiting to be saved. You stop waiting for permission. You start acting like the author of your own life. Now let's talk about the second habit, because ownership alone isn't enough. A lot of people work hard but aim at nothing. They're busy, they're productive, but they're drifting. Highly effective people don't just react to life, they design it, they think long term, they ask themselves questions most people avoid. What kind of person do I want to be? What do I want my days to look like? What do I want to stand for? This doesn't mean having everything figured out. It means having a direction. Think about how many decisions you make in a day: what to eat, what to watch, what to scroll, what to avoid. Most of those decisions are made automatically, emotionally, without reflection, but effective people zoom out. They think about future consequences. They ask, if I keep living like this, where will I end up? Here's a modern example. You're tired after a long day. You can either numb out for 3 hours or spend 30 minutes doing something that builds your future. Neither choice is dramatic, but repeated daily, one builds regret, the other builds momentum. This habit is about aligning your daily actions with your long term values. It's about choosing direction over drift. You don't need a perfect plan, you just need a compass. And once you have that, decision making becomes easier. Now let's move into the third habit because this is where theory meets action. Most people confuse being busy with being effective. They answer emails, they attend meetings, they check notifications, and at the end of the day, they feel exhausted but not fulfilled. Highly effective people understand the hard truths. Not all tasks are created equal. Some tasks move your life forward, others just maintain the status quo. And the uncomfortable reality is that the most important tasks are often the least urgent. They don't scream for attention, they whisper things like learning, planning, having difficult conversations, building something meaningful because they're not urgent, they're